Hello, Internet. I'm Poker. With me is my handy partner, Liquor. Yeah, minus all the money. After maxing them out on hand jobs. Ugh. And welcome to another episode of Personified, a look at all things anthropomorphic from a puppet's perspective. This is it, folks. Our first real movie review. I'm so excited, I'm practically bursting out of my fluffy puppet stitches. Now, we'll get to the movie in just a moment, but first, a story. When I was a kid, my first puppet was a frog with the name Freddie on his shirt my father bought for me at the circus. I loved that thing, and I used to entertain my family and friends with comedy ventriloquist acts. It was what sparked my love of puppetry, and while it's long since been lost to time, I still fondly hold the memory of that dear puppet as the pebble that got the avalanche rolling. So imagine my surprise when in 1995 a movie came out starring an anthropomorphic frog prince named Freddie. Even though I was a teenager at the time, I was hooked. It was like somebody had made a movie especially for me. I couldn't wait to see it. And ended up having to wait another decade to get my hands on it due to limited release and shit video sales. It didn't help that this was a British cartoon playing in American theaters at a time when Disney was making a huge animation comeback. They tried to boost interest by getting a few famous actors to redub certain roles, like having James Earl Jones come on board as the narrator, but they might as well have cast him as Darth Vader himself for all the good it did them. I had actually forgotten all about this movie until I decided to do this show. But through the magic of internet shopping, I finally laid hands on a copy. It's the original British version, sans James Earl, but that's fine by me. I'm just glad to finally see this movie. It's like it was plucked from my childhood imagination. And I mean that literally. This movie is... well, let's dive in and you'll see for yourself. This is Freddy as F.R.O.7. So we open on modern-day Paris, to a song so light it's floating somewhere above the credits, and... wait, Ben Kingsley's in this? And he plays Freddy? Wow, the 90s were not a good time for that man. Anyway, we're immediately introduced to our titular character, Freddy, driving through the surprisingly empty Paris streets in an anthropomorphic car that's apparently in love with him. I'm sure that'll get explained later. So wait a minute. Freddy's a frog, and he's French. Freddy enters his apartment, feeds his fish, and we immediately cut to a flashback to what looks like medieval France. Wait, what? We get an opening in modern day with no dialogue and no explanation as to why things are what they are, and then jump into the distant past? No, it all started long ago. No, I'm Freddy, and this is my tale. Just goodbye 1990s and hello castles? Why even start in modern day at all? You could have just opened in the past to begin with if you're not going to even say anything. Look, here, I'll do it myself. When you're being chased by dragons. See? No fucking difference. Yeah, you're right, Liquor. If I keep stopping every time the movie does something incomprehensible, we could end up flashing back to modern day in real time. I just gotta breathe and plow on through. So we're introduced via narrator, played by Adrien Delatouche, to the Prince of France, Frederick. It is revealed that both he and his recently widowed father, the King, possess incredible magic powers. The King's sister, Messina, also has magic powers, but big surprise, she's evil. Remember, kids, turning cats into birds? Black magic. Making butterflies out of nothing and then disintegrating them in front of your adolescent son? That's okay. Anyway, the king and prince go out horseback riding with no armed escort, because apparently France had no enemies back then. Messina takes this as her opportunity to kill her brother so she can... they don't say why, but I'm gonna go with take over the kingdom. Well, that was incredibly easy. Did she really have to be a snake to do that? In fact, why didn't she just use her black magic and kill him in his sleep? Or hell, I don't know, offer to ride out with him and stab him when his back is turned. He apparently wouldn't have had any time to use his magic to defend himself, since he had a full 3 seconds before hitting the ground and didn't do anything to stop it. She could have killed Frederick while she was at it, and ensured herself the throne in one fell swoop! Sorry. It's my last nitpick, I swear. So there's a funeral, and Messina is chosen to rule in Frederick's stead until he comes of age. Messina gets Frederick alone, then turns herself into a cobra and breaks her mirror for some reason. She then chases Frederick down so she can bite him and kill him instantly with her poison. Just kidding. She turns back into a human and turns him into a frog, rendering her own transformation a complete waste of time. She tries to capture the frog prince, but naturally a frog is too fast for her, and Frederick escapes over the edge of the balcony into the ocean below. Come on, Messina, everyone knows transforming your enemies doesn't help. Even Yzma knew better.
Poison him with this.
Anyway, Messina dives after Frederick and turns back into a cobra because there's obviously no other animal better suited for catching frogs underwater. Frederick swims away and...
Swim, Frederick, fear not, swim like a prince.
Really? So Frederick heeds the advice of his hallucination and...
That will not save him, brother dear!
What, she saw that? That was real? If that was real, then that advice really came from Freddy's dead father. This is the only time we see the king as a ghost. He never shows up again after this. The ghost of Frederick's father makes one return trip to the land of the living, and his only advice to his son is to swim. What, did he get this pearl of wisdom from the same place Mel Gibson's wife did in Signs? Anyway, Frederick swims into a coral reef and is seemingly cornered by Messina when he is actually rescued by, and I'm not kidding here, the Loch Ness Monster. Who's in France for some reason. Sure, why not?
I will catch up with you and destroy you. I shall rule the world.
Oh, so she does want to kill him. Why didn't she do that in the first place? As a matter of fact, why isn't she doing it now? Is Nessie somehow immune to her magic? Can she not turn a dinosaur into something harmless and then continue chasing Frederick? Is there a limit to how many times she can use her magic in a day? Christ, how far into this movie are we? Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, so Messina flies away, destroying a ship and presumably murdering its entire crew in the process, while Nessie and Frederick exchange pleasantries. Oh, sure, now he uses his magic. Anyway, Nessie agrees to escort the prince all the way to the shore that's 50 yards away, and then leaves to return to Scotland, but not before teaching him how to call her like a dog.
Nessie!
Frederick then jumps into space, because why not, and lands in a swamp where he comes across an all-frog New Orleans jazz band? Are we still in medieval France? So we're then treated to a 5-minute montage of frogs being anthropomorphic that encompasses the next several months. Who needs jokes? Frogs are acting like people. Through the power of song, the narrator resumes his job of spoon-fed exposition and tells us that Frederick, now known as Freddy, is not a normal frog.
So you see, my friends, Freddy was not like other frogs. He was different.
No shit. He's human. We were there. Freddy then demonstrates his amazing rock-lifting and exploding powers, and then grows to human size because... why not? The other frogs bring him clothes, since a naked 6-foot talking frog would just be weird, and Freddy takes off for Paris. This ends the flashback and returns us to modern day. Wait, what? That's gotta be more than 300 years! What, do his magic powers extend to immortality? It can't be the curse, his aunt wants him dead! You're trying to tell me that a king, the grown man and presumably expert in magic, dies falling off a horse, yet his son, who most likely hasn't been properly trained in magic, is immortal just because. I got nothing. So anyway, Freddy is called to England for some reason, where it turns out England's most famous monuments are disappearing, and no one knows why. Please keep your arms and legs inside the movie until it comes to a complete stop. We have now arrived at the main plot. The movie then spends 5 minutes introducing a flock of crows that we never see again, while the Tower of London gets nabbed. Don't get me started on that. Immediately followed by Buckingham Palace.
The aliens must have got it.
Oh sure, of course, it all makes sense now. Aliens. Why not? We've already had a frog prince with magic powers, the Loch Ness Monster, a living car with the hots for an amphibian, and rapping crows! Why not, movie? I'm pretty sure I'm ready for whatever you throw at me at this point. Talking rocks, intelligent clouds, butterflies that fart rainbows? Shut up! We're then introduced to a man so British he probably wipes his ass with tea leaves as he tries to console the Prime Minister.
The worst time. Just lost some of my best men. 003 in China, 005 in Russia, 007 in Hollywood.
That's a joke. It's funny. Huh. Of course it is.
Anyway, it's revealed that more monuments have disappeared, including Stonehenge and St. Paul's Cathedral. Old British guy explains that he's asked for the French Secret Service to send in their top man, and...
He's the best in the world.
On the other side of the road!
It's Freddie? When did he join the French Secret Service? Does anyone care that he's a 6-foot amphibian? Oh, when did he get a living car? Is anyone going to explain anything?
He's a frog. That's no way to talk about our loyal French allies.
Wow, half an hour in and we get our first Frenchman frog joke? Huh. I actually have to hand it to the movie for showing this much restraint. Oh well, it's going up. So Freddie and the Brigadier General have a brief contest to see who's the better stereotype, and then we get introduced to our love interest, vacantly staring British agent Daphne, aka Daffers.
Come on, baby. Come to Mama.
Afraid I don't have very much use for gadgets, but I like the landing area.
Oh, a tit joke in a kid's movie. How nice. We're also introduced to our Q stand-in for this 007 ripoff, Scotty. Guess where he's from?
The powers of the mind will always overcome violence.
Well, I don't have any concealed weapons.
Oh la la.
Did she just flash him? What the fuck? Liquor, I will hurt you. Anyway, this charming display of near bestiality is interrupted when a conveniently timed news report reveals that another monument has gone missing, this time the Canterbury Cathedral. In response, Freddy decides to search for clues at the racetrack.
I understand all the best criminals go there.
Oh, so we can expect to run into the scriptwriters.
Well, you must excuse me. I have a date for supper.
You know, I think he might just be a spy. So we move on to the racetrack, and no one freaks out at the 6-foot talking frog. Freddy explains to his companions his plan is to lure spies to him by
Not at all, mon ami.
playing the ponies. Because if anything's going to get their attention, it's by betting at horses at a racetrack. But Freddy lucks out, and the exact spies he's looking for turn up to deliver a message.
And the message is... death!
Well, you better give me the message.
He already gave it to you. Weren't you paying attention? The message was death. Freddy easily dispatches the goons and hops to safety while the henchmen dejectedly report to their boss. We cut to the villain's lair, and finally we're reunited with Messina, who is apparently also immortal. Calling the shots is her villainous husband and mastermind behind the monument thefts, El Supremo, voiced by none other than Brian Blast.
Oh, well, who wants to live forever?
Yeah, that guy. El Supremo yells at his goons because they were only sent to follow and observe Freddy, not kill him, making them the worst spies ever.
Target for tonight is Big Ben.
Do you hear me?
I think the entire racetrack heard you. So, Freddy rushes back to the Brigadier General and informs him of this startling development. Just kidding. He goes back to his friends to see if they win the race.
Oh, it won!
Okay, so now he's going to tell them the target is...
Windsor Castle.
Why? Well, we're given no time to wonder as we immediately cut to...
Romania.
Really, movie?
I'm gonna rule your world.
Okay, I have to admit, this song is pretty cool. Messina continues to sing and shake her snake hips, while explaining through song that she can hypnotize anyone to do her bidding. She proves this by killing several unresisting henchmen who look so much like Nazis they might as well have swastikas on their uniforms. I mean, fuck, while you're at it, why not throw some KKK in the background and seal the... What the shit? There's KKK in the background! Really, movie? Really? Well, okay, but there's cartoon villain evil and then there's racist evil. Well, that's just a step down from rape evil or cannibalism evil. And they're not going to put something like that in this film and, just play the footage.
You will soon have your favorite delicacy, frog's legs.
That's your nephew. You're talking about eating your nephew. It doesn't matter that he's a frog and you're a snake. You were both human once, and you're talking about eating him. In a kid's movie. Oh, shut up. So we cut to the Brigadier General ordering troops, tanks, and jet fighters to surround Windsor Castle on Freddy's say-so, while Freddy, Daffers, and Scotty head to Big Ben, where...
This is the target.
What?
So why did Freddy send the entire British military in the wrong direction?
As a soldier, he would wish to capture the enemy.
You don't say.
Penetrate into their headquarters. The only way to achieve this is to let them take us.
You know, that's actually pretty reasonable. It really does make sense when you think about it. Sneak in Trojan horse style, lay low until you're taken back to the secret base so you can find the rest of the stolen monuments, then infiltrate the hideout, wait for the right moment, and take them all out in one fell swoop. Well, this must be the best plan in any kid's movie ever. For an entire squad of men. Not just 3 agents, one of whom is a fucking frog! That's not what I meant! But hey, it's okay, right? I mean, James Bond can take down an entire military facility on his own. As long as they call for backup as soon as they get to the enemy's hideout, they might just...
Now we're cut off!
Well, okay. Even James Bond wins without backup. As long as they're well armed, they might just... He throws the gun away? I mean, okay, hide the gun and wait until you really need it, but really? You throw it away? This movie hurts my head. And oh yeah, Daffers actually manages a facial expression as she shamelessly hits on a frog.
Oh, I'm sure you're very hot-blooded.
At a time like this? Jesus Christ, lady. Even James Bond would tell you to keep it in your pants. While all this bullshit is going on, the method of the monument theft is finally revealed as a giant snake spaceship lowers itself over Big Ben. Yeah, I can see how that thing might be easy to miss. Really? No one has seen this thing until now? Do they not have radar in England? An air force? Binoculars? Well, at least it explains this guy.
Aliens must have got it.
So Big Ben is levitated away, our heroes trapped inside with no weapons and no means of outside communication. Truly, Freddy is the most brilliant secret agent the world has ever known. Meanwhile, the Brigadier General is told Big Ben has been clock-napped, and he responds by doing something he should have done the first time a monument disappeared, and scrambles the jets.
So much for froggy intelligence.
The jets catch up to the snake ship and fly around aimlessly without really doing anything, and then... They have warp engines? Are you serious? Don't you fucking dare! Let me get this straight. This is a vast army of soldiers collected from all over the world with the power to take anything they want, regardless of size, and ships equipped with warp engines, and they're using this technology to steal monuments. There had better be the best fucking explanation for this. So our heroes are warped away to a small island off the coast of Scotland that is, according to Scotty,
It's uninhabited.
Except for creepy crawly.
where Big Ben is lowered into the hidden base and our heroes are immediately captured and taken to El Supremo. So, great plan, Freddy. Hey, Freddy, it's your aunt, the woman that killed your parents and turned you into a frog. The last time you saw her, she looked exactly like this. There's no way you don't recognize her. Could you, maybe react a little? Maybe?
Interesting place.
El Supremo briefly teases Freddy before doing exactly what every villain in the world should know not to do and reveals his entire master plan in order to gloat. They have a shrink ray? You're telling me that they have the ability to produce anything to the size of a paperweight and warp engines? Why are these people not ruling the world yet?
You horrible reptile fiend!
Consider yourselves lucky we didn't leave you inside.
That's a very good point. So why didn't you?
And now, my...
Oh, hey, so this is where Freddy uses his magic, right? Where he tears that machine apart and sends the villains running scared with his carry-like powers? No, there's pointless banter to toss around as the villain continues to explain his elaborate plan. And what is his plan? Get ready for this, folks. The reason why they're stealing monuments and shrinking them down is, and I shit you not, so they can steal the spirit energy accumulated inside them over centuries of war and bloodshed in order to release it as a negative wave and put the entire country to sleep.
Invasion!
Yes, I can see how a warp-capable army with the power to shrink anything in a fleet of subs would need to do that in order to win a war with England, especially considering what a threat England's military poses in this movie. Yeah, it all makes perfect sense now. El Supremo explains he needs only one remaining monument,
It's Edinburgh Castle!
which he immediately steals, so there's no race against time to stop him. El Supremo and Messina decide it's time to make good on their cannibalistic threats. Oh, so maybe now is when Freddy busts out with the magic. No, instead he just wrestles with Messina on the ground while everyone watches. Gee, if only Scotty had some sort of a weapon that could stop her, perhaps one that fired projectiles of some kind. Halfway through the fight, the villains apparently ditch the cannibalism plan, instead attempting to feed Freddy to sea monsters. Freddy escapes, then makes short work of his aunt. His victory is short-lived, however.
I shall keep for my own amusement.
Did he just threaten to rape her? What the fuck? So, in true Bond villain cliché, El Supremo has Freddy and Scotty locked in a metal cage and tossed into the water without even bothering to wait to see if they actually die. Daffers, meanwhile, is led away to be... Good God, woman! Now's not the time to find a facial expression! Meanwhile, El Supremo completes his... spirit energy sleep wave, putting all of the UK into a deep slumber. You know, it's a good thing this montage of affected areas didn't stop by a hospital. Good God, this man is going into cardiac arrest. If we don't operate immediately, he'll surely die. Anyway, after an awkward French kiss joke, Freddy uses his magic powers to bend the bars and allow them to escape. Just kidding. He calls for Nessie to come save them.
Freddy!
Meanwhile, Daffer stares blankly and speaks in a monotone, so no change there. Ha! Beat you to it. We return to Freddy and Nessie, who leave Scotty behind in order to slip past the enemy subs and... meet Nessie's family?
This is my family! This is just a wee song in your honor, Freddy.
Are you fucking kidding me? So, this happens as Freddy goes through not one, not two, but 6 costume changes. So I guess nothing else is more important. I mean, the villain is winning, Freddy left Scotty to shiver on a rock next to an island covered with... And the last time he saw Daffers, the villain pretty much threatened to rape her. Anyway, while that happens, El Supremo sends his army in to take over England and gloats. Back underwater, Freddy finally squares off against the fleet of enemy subs. Does he use his magic to stop them? No! Instead, he enlists the aid of Nessie and her family in tying the enemy subs together with seaweed, because that's possible. He then returns to a freezing Scotty, and the two infiltrate the enemy base by knocking out guards and wearing their uniforms. Yeah, great disguise. They come across Daffers being escorted somewhere, probably the rape room, and it turns out she was faking her brainwashing all along. Which must have been a huge stretch for her acting skills. Okay, so they make their way to the chamber with the mystical crystal thing and confront a large group of goons. And now it's time for Freddy to use his powers, right? Right. Why, of course not. It's time to ditch their disguises for some awkward hand-to-hand combat and shitty banter.
You surprise me, ma chérie!
It's a woman's prerogative, Freddy, to surprise men.
Daffers gives the henchman a peep show in what I will assume is an outfit picked out for her by El Supremo, while the goons stand there awkwardly holding the guns they never shoot. Scotty beats people up with an empty hot water bottle, because that's what mechanical geniuses do. Then the pair approach the crystal, but succumb to the sleep wave that should have been affecting them since it was turned on. Freddy saves them and all of England by... You mean destroying the crystal stops the sleep wave? Gee, if only he had done that earlier when the villain was laying out his entire scheme. But for him to have done that, he'd need some sort of ability that involves destroying stone-like objects at a distance. So the sleep wave is stopped, everyone in England wakes up to surely find thousands killed in car accidents, plane crashes, and falling injuries, and the villains rush to intercept our heroes, who lie unconscious and defenseless.
I will kill him!
Hey, El Supremo, kill him. He's right there. He's defenseless. You will literally never get a better chance. Stop shouting about it and kill him!
No, F.R.O.7.
So it looks like Freddy's about to meet his grisly end, and do I even dare ask if it's time for Freddy to use his magic powers yet? Wait, really? Yes, but first we get a pointless flashback where Freddy's father tells him to not fear the sword and instead trust in the power of his mind, because apparently that was something Freddy forgot somewhere along the way and needed reminding of. And finally, Freddy does what he should have done ages ago and uses his fucking magic powers to... Wait. Freddy can transform things? Why doesn't he transform El Supremo into a mouse and step on him? For that matter, why doesn't he turn himself back into a human?
You could have turned the gun into steam, the bullets into mercury, the bottle into goddamn snowflakes, but you didn't, did you?
Whatever. Scotty uses his one special gadget to protect himself from soldiers who suddenly know how to use their guns, and the three beat up the henchmen. Freddy finds out El Supremo's greatest weakness is a kick in the ass. It looks like everything's wrapped up until...
Surrender, F.R.O.7, or I will destroy your precious monument!
His precious monument? You know he's French, right? So Freddy distracts El Supremo while Daffers makes her way over to the shrinkway controls, since apparently Freddy has forgotten he can move objects other than Big Ben with his mind, and enlarges the clock tower until Supremo dangles from its face, then shrinks it again and him along with it. And here I'd have just, shrunk him down directly, but this works too. Daffers calls in the Brigadier General on what, for the sake of my sanity, I'm going to assume is a phone she didn't have on her all this time, and our heroes celebrate a well-earned victory.
The enemy is totally destroyed.
Really? She's really gonna throw out such an obvious setup line?
Destroyed!
She was there the whole time? Why didn't she help her husband?
Stupid girl!
Hey Messina, bite him. His back is turned and you're a cobra, one of the fastest and deadliest snakes in the world. Bite him! Bite him! Why aren't you biting him? So Messina goes through a series of animal forms that do absolutely nothing to help her, and Freddy easily sidesteps her piss-poor attempts to kill him. You've got to be kidding me! I've seen scuffles over the remote at an old folks' home with more action and suspense than this. Anyway, Messina does her best Jafar impression, and through yet another flashback we get this gem of wisdom from Freddy's father.
Your strength, Frederick, will always be beyond your last breath.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Freddy wins with the power of not breathing, I guess, and they exchange pointless banter and...
One day!
Au revoir, my all! See you the next time!
This is the woman that killed your parents and turned you into a frog. She's been trying to murder you since the movie began and she almost took over the world. Why are you letting her go? They return the stolen monuments, the Queen gets her house back, Freddy turns down a knighthood because that won't cause an international incident, and we cut to Trilby being taken away as a spy. No way, that guy was a spy? So Freddy knew this guy was a spy since day one and said absolutely nothing about it? He's lucky as shit Trilby was the worst spy ever, since he did nothing to help the enemy or even report back to anyone the entire movie. Imagine the havoc he could have wreaked had he been even halfway competent.
Of course, Mr. President. If you need him, F.R.O.7 plus assistance will be on the next Concorde flight to Washington, D.C.
Yeah, because a British Brigadier General can authorize a French secret agent to do that. Anyway, they toast to America for some reason. Nessie shows up to congratulate Freddy, and no one freaks out over the presence of dinosaurs in the thing. Oh good, I'd almost forgotten about them. And we end on a kiss that doesn't turn Freddy back into a human. And that's Freddy as F.R.O.7. Where do I begin? This is a movie that has no idea what it wants to be. It has all the best elements from all the best stories, but instead of weaving together to tell a smooth, comprehensive tale, they bump into each other like jumbled toys in a child's toy box. And that's exactly how this movie feels. It's like they reached into a child's brain and pulled out whatever adventure he'd thrown together with whatever toys were available at the time. As it is, the plot is a mess with story arcs that crumble under the weight of everything heaped on top of them. I will say the animation is superb, and some of the music is really catchy, but not even that can save this thing from the slow crash and burn that it is. With the exception of Brian Blessed as the delightfully over-the-top villain, the voice acting is flat and boring. The supporting characters are completely useless and bring nothing to the story, aside from being extra bodies in the room for Freddy to smirk at, while Freddy himself is a one-dimensional protagonist that skates through the movie like nothing matters. This movie has no suspense, no sense of urgency, and no excitement. Nothing is explained aside from the villain's needlessly complicated plans, and even those explanations leave much to be desired. Too many times I found myself struggling to understand what was going on. Why are Freddy and Messina immortal and Freddy's father wasn't? Why does Freddy have a living car that's in love with him? Was she a human that was turned into a car? Why doesn't Freddy use his magic, despite being presented with thousands of opportunities? Why, movie? Why? Why?
Why? Why?
None of it makes any sense. Oh God, why? Why? I thought reviewing would be easy. I thought it would just be a matter of picking out the worst bits and making dick jokes, but it's not. That reviewing is hard. And people who do this regularly deserve respect. What, are you fucking kidding me? Sure, this shit is hard, but I'm doing it. Bring it on, people. I'm ready for whatever you throw at me. I'm gonna go shoot myself.
Evil mania. I'm gonna rule your world. I'm gonna tease you and squeeze you till you drop. Oops.